When reality seems too difficult for us to face, we retreat behind defensive mechanisms. There was the girl who always explained that she really didn't want something after she found out she couldn't get it. She was two-faced. Her defense mechanism was rationalization. Remember the boy who failed to make the team? It was because the coach didn't like him, so he said. For him, the fault was always someplace else. A dull tool, the wrong time, a stupid teacher. His defense mechanism is a special type of rationalization that we call projection. Remember the girl who could only disagree? She could only shake her head. Her defense mechanism was negativism. All of us are guilty of defensive mechanisms to some degree at some time. Knowing their dangers, we have a better chance to guard against them. When these poor defenses slip, and they always do, and we're face to face with hard reality again, we have other means of getting away. Remember the boy who couldn't dance, but who always brought a pint to the party? He was trying to escape from a sense of his own inadequacy. The next morning, he'd have a hangover, and he still couldn't dance. She was a daydreamer. She could dream that she was the most beautiful woman in the world. Time and time again, she could return to it, getting more beautiful with each dream. But every time she woke up, she was face to face with her own face. He identified himself with a welterweight champion. Every fight the champ won, he won. Every punch the champ took, he took. And he could take it. His escape mechanism was identification with somebody else. She thought that if you pretended a thing wasn't there, it might go away. If you pretended something hadn't happened, maybe it hadn't. If you hid the truth away, maybe it would turn out to be a lie. Her escape mechanism was suppression. He saw illness as a way out. A back way, true, but a way. When it was time to bring in the wood, his legs pained him. When the snow fell, something went wrong with his arm. And he loved the attention he got. His escape mechanism was malingering. The Army calls it gold bricking. Too many of us refuse to face reality. Too many of us try to escape our duties and identities, our faces and our families. But all these things remain. All the realities remain whenever we leave our dreams and return to the real world. Michael Squires is such a person, pinwheeling through life, defenses held high, darting away from reality through the escape hatches of his emotional being.
Essentially, every normal person wants to stand well in his own eyes and in the eyes of others. When he does not, then he'll seek ways to achieve that standing. Protective mechanisms offer the wrong route. Finding out what the trouble is, what sends us into defense and escape mechanisms, is the first step on the road back to reality and the satisfactions and rewards that can be found only in the real world. I remember promising you a few minutes at the end of this period to discuss your class dance. So I guess the time has come now, and I'll see you all tomorrow. So long.
Okay, little attention, please. Okay, now we got just about everything set. The dance will be the first week in October, Friday night. We've got Jimmy Barron and his boys for the music. But we're gonna have to pay him extra if it goes past midnight. Okay? All right, now look, let's get to the committees. As I'm chairman of the entertainment program, I'll assign you to various committees. But if you're not satisfied, you can overrule me. Is that okay? Okay. All right, let's start with the decoration committee. Sandra? Helen?
All right.
Paul? Mike?
Better count me out.
Come on, Mike. Everybody else is helping out.
No, leave me out of it. I'm pretty busy these days, doing some very important work at home.
Don't tell us you're still at work on your great American novel.
It must be nearly finished by now.
Oh, it's coming along. Well, look, we can't waste any more time. How about you, Hank?
Well, I'm not much good on decorations anyway. There are probably a lot of other things I could do much better.
It's okay, Mike. Forget it. Now, we want to decide whether we want it to be formal or costume.
Formal. Costume.
Oh. Okay, hold it.
Well, I just think that jeans and plaid shirts would be more colorful, that's all.
Wait a minute. Look, we'll take a vote on it. All in favor of formal, say aye.
Aye.
Contrary, no.
No.
Mike is hiding his sense of inadequacy in negativism. He was afraid of failing on the decoration job, so he refused. And now he's taking great pleasure from being coaxed to change his viewpoint. He's getting satisfaction from being the center of attraction.
Okay, let's try to make it unanimous now. All those in favor of a formal, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
That's it.
He always manages to make it tough. He's what Mr. Smith calls, a negative.
Negatist.
I don't understand it. He just likes to have his own way.
At home that night, Mike slips into another phase of his defense mechanism, that of rationalization. For some reason, he claims to be totally uninterested in the dance. He isn't even sure that he wants to go. All those guys rushing around, buttoned up to their chins in blue serge. Let's see. Mike doesn't want a new suit, and he probably implies that the music at such dances is never any good anyway. His sister suggests that probably none of the girls would dance with him. Girls. Just having Harriet around the house is all the girls Mike can stomach. Or so he claims. Girls are stupid and silly. He would be perfectly happy, so he says, if he never saw another girl as long as he lived. His sister has her own ideas on the subject. Sour grapes. Mike is finding out that no real defense against the hard realities of life can be found in negativism and rationalization. Face-saving, self-justification, deception. Why? Disappointment, discouragement, a sense of failure. Why? Insecurity, a lack of confidence, a feeling of inferiority. Why? Why? There are all kinds of reasons for such things, and there could be all kinds of results from them. Mike had many of his own reasons, and he had his own results. In some cases, Mike had taken little experiences, little things, and buried them deep within himself, carefully suppressed and kept from the healing light of day. He's skinny, isn't he? The trouble is, if it's nerves, they never get over it. Mike never found out that the conversation was about a dog. The answer was so simple, but he's always kept the question buttoned up inside himself.
Protective mechanisms offer the wrong route. Finding out what the trouble is what sends us into defense and escape mechanisms is the first step on the road back to reality. If we can pour out our troubles and unhappiness to a sympathetic friend or a member of the family, well, then we can avoid keeping such things tied up in ourselves. Well, that's all for today. Got something on your mind? Well, the best place to get things on your mind is off. That may not be good English, but it makes good sense.
I guess I haven't been making good sense.
You're watching Sleepcore. Pleasant dreams.
Папа, что ты ищешь?
Где телевизор? Куда подевался мой телевизор?
Странный вопрос, не правда ли? Но не спешите удивляться.
А ты не видела моего телевизора?
Хорошо сейчас атаковал Горстков. Трудный год выдался для Евгения Горсткова, 77-й. И все-таки год для него прошел отлично. Он стал 4-й раз чемпионом Советского Союза в тяжелом весе. Выиграл звание чемпиона Европы в тяжелом весе. Получил звание заслуженного мастера спорта.
Портативный телевизор «Юность 402» с успехом может стать вторым телевизором в доме.
Early morning at the Tokyo terminal of Japan's Super Express, the Shinkansen. Sleek, clean, and checked from stem to stern, Hikari 23 sets out on her long journey to Hakata. Every day, 120 Shinkansen trains depart from Tokyo Station. Half of them, the Hikari, stop at only a handful of major stations. The remainder, named Kodama, stop at all stations along their route. At 9 a.m. precisely, Hikari and her passengers begin their westward journey.
This is the Super Express Hikari bound for Hakata with stops at Nagoya, Kyoto, Okayama, Hiroshima, Omori, and Kokura. For your information, all
beyond the urban sprawl of Tokyo are Japan's principal southern cities, her centers of culture, Kyoto, Nara, and Nagasaki, and some of the most impressive coastal scenery in the world.
The dining car is number 8. The ferry service is provided.
Services between Tokyo and Osaka began in 1964. Since then, the line has been pushed further and further westwards, first to Okayama, and then to Hiroshima and Hakata, a total distance of 670 miles, 1,069 kilometers. Each 16-car train carries 1,400 passengers. 1 billion people have traveled by Shinkansen since service began in 1964. Seats can be reserved at the green ticket windows in 760 stations throughout Japan and at JNR Travel Center. All the ticket offices are linked to a reservation center in Tokyo, and the ticket is printed out automatically at the terminal. The comfort of the Shinkansen trains is legendary. Comfortable seats, air conditioning, and an almost total absence of noise from the track lull the traveler into a mood of total relaxation. The 300-mile journey to Kyoto takes just 2 hours and 50 minutes. In no time at all, the concrete and steel of Tokyo have been exchanged for the ancient stones and wooden temples of Japan's former capital. Hikari 23 heads for her next port of call at top speed, 130 miles per hour. Scrupulous track and car maintenance ensure that the Shinkansen trains can run for long stretches at top speed and in complete safety. Wherever possible, the track goes through mountains rather than around them, since a straight track also helps the train to maintain high speeds. There has never been a passenger accident on the Shinkansen. The train is in the safe hands of an automatic train control system known as ATC. The computer at the ATC center in Tokyo Station transmits signals to the train, and these are displayed on the speedometer in the driver's cab. At the same time, the train is under the surveillance of an overall traffic control system known as CTC. All the trains on the 670-mile Tokyo-Hakata line are monitored according to a pre-forecast traffic diagram. The position of any train, its number and ATC signal indication, the wind speed along the route, and other important data are constantly fed into the ATC computer. Second by second, the whereabouts and safety of the trains are watched over by the control center. The technology for this remarkable system was developed entirely in Japan. Next stop, Okayama. And Hikari 23 arrives precisely on time, 4 hours and 10 minutes after leaving Tokyo, a distance of 422 miles. Okayama is an old and interesting city. The Shizutani school has stood here since 1707. It was built by a great feudal lord as a place of learning for his samurai retainers and their sons, and for the common people living in his domain. In the center of the city is one of Japan's most celebrated gardens, Korakuen. When Korakuen was built in the 18th century, this area enjoyed great prosperity, and this is expressed in the expansive and rather informal design of the garden. Built for the enjoyment of a feudal lord, this serene and tasteful garden can now be enjoyed by everyone. Because of its gentle climate, Okayama Prefecture is blessed with some of Japan's most fertile countryside. Over 1,000 years ago, this district was called Kibi, and it was an important center of culture. Hikari 23 speeds through Shinkurashiki Station. The old merchant town of Kurashiki is famous throughout Japan for its unusual and charming architecture. 300 years ago, it was a center of trade in Japan's most important commodity, rice. Boats carrying rice moved up and down this waterway. Beautiful white-walled warehouses surround its banks. In old Japan, rice and money were inseparable, and an atmosphere of wealthy respectability still haunts Kurashiki's unspoiled streets. Chance encounters are among the greatest of travel's pleasures. Here, by the Seto Inland Sea, a fisherman has many stories to tell. These beautiful waters, dotted with green islands, are a paradise for lovers of seafood. Onomichi is one of the many villages and towns where a visitor can encounter the harvest from the inland sea. Fish of every kind, as fresh and colorful as the moment it was plucked from the water. At a local restaurant, fugu, or globefish, is served raw, in paper-thin slices. The exquisite delicacy of raw fish must be tasted to be believed. The aroma of steamed oysters, lobster and crab is like the sea itself. Fukuyama. From the train window, Fukuyama Castle can be seen still keeping watch over the surrounding city. Over half of the passengers on the Shinkansen are businessmen. Because of the speed and punctuality of the train, they can do business on the other side of Japan and return the same day. They can make and receive telephone calls from major cities along the route and work comfortably during the journey. In fact, the Shinkansen has become a main artery of the Japanese economy. And Hikari arrives at Ogori. Planning of the Shinkansen route has always taken into account the need to connect passengers easily and quickly with existing local lines. The city of Hagi is one of the many interesting places which can be reached easily via a local line. Only a little over 100 years ago, Hagi was a key city in one of the most dramatic periods in Japanese history, the Meiji Restoration. Samurai of Choshu, as this region was called, gathered here and left their mark. Many are remembered as national heroes and founders of modern Japan. Much that is old and soothing and worthwhile can be found in Hagi, including a restrained style of pottery, which finds a special place in the tea ceremony. Hagi is a place to visit again and again. Hikari begins to turn southwest towards the island of Kyushu. Until about 30 years ago, people, cars and trains crossed the Kanmon Straits by ferry. Today, it takes only 6 minutes for Hikari to go through the 12-mile-long undersea tunnel and draw into Kokura Station.
日方線おいでの方は特急日輪6号宮崎行き15時42分なしで6番線から、柳川行きは15時48分なしで2番線から、北彦山線おいでの方は北行き16時26分なしで7番線から。
Kita-Kyushu City is the gateway to one of Japan's most dramatic sightseeing areas. The beautiful old town of Nagasaki, an impressive coastline, and huge active volcanoes are among Kyushu's attractions. And today, Kyushu and many other places of interest in between are just a few hours away from Tokyo. The Shinkansen has revolutionized travel in Japan, and the millions of people who travel on the Shinkansen every year can take for granted its complete safety, comfort, and unrivaled punctuality. Hikari 23 nears her final destination. She is on time to the second. The 670-mile, 7-hour journey is over. This is the Shinkansen, a classic train making a classic journey across Japan. Welcome aboard.
You're watching Sleepcore. Sleep tight.
If you lived in this neighborhood, you'd know all about airplanes. You'd know the exact wingspan of the latest supertransonic hyperstrata cruiser. You could identify the XB-303 at 20,000 feet. You'd know all about dihedral angles and cold fronts and wind drifts. And you'd know Mach numbers better than the multiplication tables. And the reason you'd know all this stuff, oh, there's the reason right now. Roger Windsock, the airplane kid, known on Shady Lane as the boy aeronaut, who's always looking up instead of where he's going. His father says he's air-minded, but neighbors call him plane crazy.
That was Roger Windsock, right on the beat. Hey, there goes the airplane chaser.
Must be Roger Windsock.
Windsock's a little screwball. Never looks where he's going.
In school, Roger studied reading, writing, and aerodynamics.
He fellas, look. I just built this new JATO dihedral turboprop. It's got a 15G pullout.
Let's play baseball, Raj.
Nothing but airplanes mattered to Roger. He thought about them night and day. But most of all, he loved to hang around the airport and watch the big airplanes take off and land. One day, Roger saw a very special airplane.
Yipe! What a skybuster! It's the spirit of the air age. What's it like to fly way up in the sky? Jiminy, do you really mean it? I wish I could fly. Oh my gosh, wings. I've got wings. Maybe I can fly. I've got wings. I've got wings. Hey, Phyllis, look at me. Wings.
Get a load of windsock. He's got wings.
Hey, Raj, let's see you fly with them wings.
He talks so much about airplanes, he's beginning to look like one.
Lead into the wind, Raj.
Stand clear, men.
Ho, ho! Like a bird, Windsock. Just like a bird.
What a landing, Raj.
Yeah, he's got wings, okay, but he can't fly.
What good are your wings, Raj? You can't fly with them.
Roger's got wings, but he can't fly. Wings, but you can't fly. You can't fly. Can't fly. Can't fly. Can't fly. Can't fly. Can't fly.
The wings. The wings. The wings don't work. I can't fly. What'll I do? They don't work.
Those wings are not for flying, Roger. They're wings for your imagination. The kind of wings that created the air age. They'll show you a new world.
Wowee! Every kind of plane in the world. Old ones, new ones, big and small. And even the Wright brothers' flying machine. Maybe those fellas had wings like mine. Sorta. Okay, Wilbur, let her go! Whee! We've done it!
Yes, Roger, as men learned to fly farther and higher, airplanes became bigger and faster.
An Air Force training plane. Jiminy, if I could only fly one of those.
Okay, Windsock. This is your day. Take over. Great maneuver, Windsock.
Thank you, sir. Observer Windsock reporting. I see something strange. I am going down and have a look at it. It's a fire. It's spreading from Grizzly Bear Ridge, south by west 12 miles. The best way to get in is by the Eagle Beak Fire Break.
Fine job, Windsock. We've saved the forest.
The job's not done yet, sir. We've got to reforestry.
Calling rescue service plane. Abandoned search for lost polar scientist. Return to your base.
I've got one more iceberg to check, sir. I must find him. There he is. Windsock reporting. Sighted survivor. Saved same.
Hello. Hey, Windsock bug busters. The lone leaf eaters are ruining my crops.
Don't worry about a thing, Mr. Haystack. I'll be right over. Let's see. Have I got everything? Fishing rod, golf bag, mosquito dope, man. Got a bite. I got a bite. Flight 409, Windsock to tower. Request landing clearance. Over.
Roger, roger.
What a beautiful day for a swim. Not a cloud in the sky.
The firm of Flegel in Windsock is on the brink of ruin.
If we're not in San Francisco by 5 o'clock with a new contract...
We'll lose the business.
With the company plane, we could fly there in time, but the contract isn't even written.
Windsock, it's up to you.
Miss Dimple, take a contract. Whereas the party of the first part, hereafter referred to as the party of the second part, shall by these presents make known that we agree...
It's almost 5.
They'll never make it.
Well, it looks like the Flegel boys lose the business, CB.
Not so fast, gentlemen. Here's our new contract.
Good for you. Congratulations, Mr. Flegel.
Thank you, sir. Windsock's the name.
Urgent. Floodwater rising. Whole town cut off. Have only enough food to last 24 hours. Send coal, blankets, medical aid, shovels, sandbags.
It's an airlift!
We're saved!
It's Roger Windsock!
Step right up, folks. I've got something for everyone. I've got milk for the kiddies, clothes for the ladies, shovels for the men, coal and stoves and bathtubs, too. Medical supplies to make you well. And music for everyone. Gosh, I never realized all the wonderful things that planes did. They're real important. Gee, do you think I could get to be a real pilot?
Yes, Roger, you could. But there are many other exciting things to do in aviation. You can build airplanes, or you can service them on the ground. You can be an instrument specialist, a radio operator, or a tower operator, a weather forecaster, or an electrician. Maybe you'd like to be an instructor, or an engineer, a photographer, doctor, or a salesman. No matter what you'd like to do, there's a place for you in aviation. But that's not all aviation is doing for us, Roger. The airplane has changed our ideas about the Earth. We used to think that the people in Europe and Asia lived on the other side of the world, the Eastern Hemisphere. But an Air Age view shows us that they live on the same side of the world, the northern half. And we used to have to travel east to get to Europe. But the shortest route is actually to the north. And the airplane lets us travel the shortest way. This is the Air Age world. It shows the important areas of population in one hemisphere, not more than a day away. Our national security can no longer depend on the protection of mountain and ocean barriers. We must be able to defend ourselves in the air, in all directions, to protect our continent from air attack. No capital of the world is more than a few hours away by air. And through air travel, peoples of all countries can learn to know each other better. Every day, more and more of our world neighbors can fly to our country in a few short hours to meet us and see how we live. We can visit their countries too for business or pleasure, and we can do it even on a 2-week vacation. All the wonders of the world are within our reach. We can meet new friends, and old ones too, and see how the people of the earth live, and understand that they are really very much like us. They have jobs to do, they raise families, they like music and good food. And of course, everyone pays taxes just as we do. Their culture can contribute much to our lives, and they can become our friends. And so you see, Roger, the airplane has brought us together. The better we know the people of the world, the greater our hope for world peace. The airplane has changed the world. Aviation is helping to develop and protect our resources, speeding up commerce and travel, bringing progress to remote areas, creating new industries and new careers, and providing greater national security. Yes, Roger, the Air Age is bringing all of us closer together and creating a better world for everyone.
Gee, I've got to tell everybody about the Air Age.
And just as before, they laughed, but then they listened some more. And finally, they understood.
And that's how the airplane has changed our lives. So you see, I'm no different from any of you. We all have wings. This is the Air Age.